Hello everybody, it's Chris from TGIK Games. Today we're going to be working on the Base Defense game, which is my board game twist on a first-person shooter. Going through my little book of notes, I made a small one-page addition to what we have going on here. So I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to work my way, I'm just going to add this note, and then I'm going to review what I've got. And yeah, because it's probably been 3 weeks since I've actually looked at this set of notes. So this is why when you see me complain to myself about why my note taking is shorthand and awful, this is why, because long periods of time will go between I actually work on anything and I have to be able to look at my old notes and understand what the heck I was thinking at the time. So anyway, here we go. Let's see, depending on the group, depending on the enemy group, what are we doing here? Depending on the enemy group, depending on the group of enemies, they will use the same AI movement system as Burgle Bros. Okay, we're gonna do this instead. Is there a better place to put this? Combat system shields, players of enemies, fog of war, movement of pawns and areas. Get access. Nope, that's player movement. I'm looking for something along the lines of NPC movement, and there isn't any. So we're just going to start a new section for, hold on. So there was experience. Okay, so you know what we're going to do? We're going to do enemies, and we're going to start with movement. And movement system will be inspired by Burgle Bros. And if you haven't played Burgle Bros, basically you're running around 3 different floors. There are guards on every floor. I'm not going to go into the details of the game, but the way the guards move, there is a die on each floor, and there is one guard on each floor, and the guard will move towards the die, and the guard will move a number of squares or tiles equal to the face value of the die, and there are things that change the face value of the die that only make it go up. There might be ways to make it go down, but either they don't exist or I haven't experienced them in the game. I've only experienced those dies going up. There are ways to slow them down, right, that have nothing to do with the die face. But anyway, so the idea is there's a quick reference to show players how many spaces the guard is going to move, and where the die is physically on the floor is where the guard is moving to. And once the guard gets to the die, there's a card that's flipped over, and it tells you where that movement die is going to be placed, and then the guard will move as quickly as possible to that new spot. Really, really elegant, and I really enjoy playing it. So that's going to be the inspiration. I don't know where we're going to take it to, but I don't want to get much more complicated than that. It's very, very good AI mechanic. Let's see. Need to make some movement unknown to players. Yes, we do. Need to make some of the movement unknown. And kind of, I don't know how this is going to be accomplished just yet. I may have had an idea at the time, but maybe new groups can spawn in different areas. Maybe they can be kind of like, okay. The whole, I think the idea of this is that if players are within the base and they can see where the AI is going to be coming from at all times, they can always respond to it. They can always be ahead of the enemy. And I want some instances where they are behind the enemy, meaning they have to come up with some contingency of, oh crap, what am I going to do? There's a group of enemies that are going at the weak spot of our base. So, okay, so need to make some movement unknown. Why? To force the players to react to enemy activity. And you know what? It is very possible that in the end, the enemies will have to be played by a player. It'll have to have a human behind it. I don't know if we can keep it. If we can keep this a co-op, I think that's what I would prefer to do. So, but we'll see. Oh, excuse me, I need some water. Okay, need to make some movement unknown. Why? To force the players to react to enemy activity. Okay, so how about here, what are some possibilities I wrote down here? Maybe new groups can spawn in different areas. Maybe new enemy groups can spawn in new areas, which begs the question, how do enemies spawn? I don't have the board set up yet. I don't even have a board idea in my head. I know how I would want players to set it up, but I don't know what the board would generally look like. So this is, since we don't know what the board looks like, we can't really answer this question. Okay. Let's see. Maybe there can be scouts. Maybe there can be scout-like bad guys that look for weak points in the base. Okay, so we're going to do... Oh, no, this is... well, no, we'll just do it this way. I don't think it matters all that much. Scouts. These NPCs are looking for the weak points of the base. And if you don't remember, the weak points are areas that have been either destroyed during setup. So once players set up their board, there's an initial bombardment phase. And this is inspired from watching Mu 2 or Masters of the Universe 2, both the old version and the new version. I watch that a lot on YouTube. I watch playthroughs of it or Let's Plays of it. And I like the idea of a bombardment happening on a planet, but there's just not enough. Like I want more. I want more variability in that other than hits and misses. I want some idea of within this, at least we can construct it into this game of this portion of the base has had a hole blown in the side of it. Now, I don't want to force players, excuse me, I don't want to force players to have to deal with that. I want to give them the option to repair. So players will be able to repair weak spots. But that's not what we're talking about right now. We're talking about scouts. These NPCs are looking for weak points in the base. Players will... how do they look for weak points? How do they look for weak points? So if let's say there's a corridor connecting two sections of the base, or a hallway. Well, we'll call it a corridor. And there's a hole, or there's a hole in that part of the base. Could we do regions? Could we say... Could we roll a die and say, let's say there's 6 regions on the board, and in each region there would be rolling a die would represent a scout. How about, okay, we're not going to stick, we're going to write this down, but I don't know if we're going to stick with it. So regions on the board, 6 of them. During NPC turn, actually, let's be consistent. During enemy turn, players will roll scouts, if there are any. If there is a weak spot in that region, the scout will report it. So think about in the game, there's a scout that's gone to that region. The scout sees a hole in the corridor, and they're going to go report it to whoever they need to report it to. Does that mean that, oh, wait, okay, so, well, let me complete the thought. So that would mean that a group of enemies are going to be on their way, so a new deck needs to be created. But how far, like, when do we as the players get notified of that happening? When do the players get notified that the weak point has been identified? Okay. Now, in real life, as the game is being played, players are going to know right away. So that means that the enemy deck will have to be prepared and placed at the point in which the die roll reveals. I know that doesn't make any sense to you, but it's in my head. Reveals. The idea is, will there be another roll to say, okay, well, they just noticed this, and so did you. So the enemy deck is going to be outside the base, or are they going to get inside the base, or they're going to be just outside, like right outside the hole in the wall. That feels a bit boring to me, but I'm trying to represent a really complex idea here of an NPC scout, of an enemy scout. And the best way to do AI is to do it simply, as in the previous example we talked about. Or we could just say they're inside or outside the base. You know what? We're going to do that. Enemy deck will appear inside or outside the base. How is the deck constructed? That will be answered later. Not that I have an answer to that question, it's just that it's not relevant to what I'm trying to accomplish here. So, what? I don't... Seriously? Shift tab. Hey, it works. How's the enemy deck constructed? I'm not going to worry about it right now. Enemy deck will appear inside or outside the base. Keep this simple. Keep this simple. Okay. I'm not going to worry about how it's constructed. Okay. So we now have the new deck of cards somewhere on the board. At least, okay. Could be inside or outside. Is there anything else? I don't know. My last note on here for this is players will have the option to repair weak spots. So we'll start a new, we'll call this the base mechanics. Players will be able to repair weak spots. I wonder if I wrote WEEK somewhere earlier. I bet I did. Oh well. Players will be able to repair weak spots. Can they be repaired physically? Or can they be repaired with shields? Shields are definitely going to be a part of the game, so we're going to say that both. We're going to say that both can be accomplished. We're going to say that both can be accomplished, but if it's a physical repair, scouts won't notice it. If it's a shield repair, scouts will notice. I almost want to say at this point, well, will the scouts get to see what kind of shield it is, and then you can set up the deck of enemies to have a powerful thing against it? Like, it's a projectile only shield, so a scout would go back and report it, and they would send some powerful frontline unit that can just walk through the projectile shield, because projectile shields allow slow-moving things through. I feel like that's too complex. It is too complex. So we're going to leave it out. It's a nice thought, though. Definitely, if this game ever became digital, that would be something to explore. But shield repair, scouts will notice. Simple as that. Okay. So that's it. That's my page of notes for this game, the base defense game, which I don't have a name for yet. While we're here, let's see if we can't fill out anything else. Bit frantic, bit tactical, co-op, decks of cards, yep. Bombardment phase, I dig that. Fog of war. If a player area has full communication, okay, I like the concept of communication. Players, oh, hold on a second. How deep do I want to go on communication? If a player area has full communication, players can see what you are fighting. Actually, I do want to go a little bit deeper on this. Okay, so they're going to be different levels of communication. So there's full comms. All players can see what is in the enemy deck. Let me just say this out loud before I... So there's full comms, there's like half comms, and there's no comms. Okay, so we'll call it disrupted comms, or is disrupted comms. This will be okay. So the players in the zone, players with pawns. Let's say players with pawns in the zone can see the entire deck. Players not in the zone can see 3 face-up cards of the deck. So the idea is that each region will have kind of a setting for what comms are available. And if this region has disrupted comms, then once I go to that zone and I see the deck, I can turn over 3 cards and I can say these are the cards that I'm fighting, or these are the cards that you can see. And thematically, this is something like maybe it's intermittent video feed or intermittent audio, and you either the person on the other end saw or heard one of the critters, and maybe all the players have kind of video cameras on their person and they can see partially something on the other side, whereas kind of the vision is a bit disrupted. What a great word. So that's kind of the idea we're working with. And then no comms. And this, I wish there was a way to just have the players fight, like be able to give no information to anybody else at the table, but it's just not plausible. So here's the idea: is that players in the zone can see the entire deck. Players not in the zone only get to see the enemy with which the player, the in-zone player, let's do that, in-zone player is engaged with. So basically, you flip over the card, you say, okay, this is the one that I'm fighting, and it's turned up. I'm going to do my rolls, or we're going to perform combat, however combat works, and you get to see what it is. Congratulations. And players, there is no verbal communication about enemies. Here, is there verbal communication? Actually, let's do a subgroup of this: verbal versus non-verbal comms. I know what it means. I think you know what it means. I don't know where to go with it right now. Basically, we'll just say we'll figure that out later. Players that have enemies they are strong and weak against. Okay. I don't have anything I want to add to that right now. Projectile personnel. Yep. Combat system. Oh boy, combat systems. We'll leave that till the end. Tile cover score bonuses. Oh right, the idea that you have cover. Yep. Traps. Traps are good. Enemies. Okay. I think that's it. I like where this is going. It's going there ever so slowly, but it's going. So as always, if you have any questions, comments, cares, concerns, please leave a comment below, or you can find me on Twitter. That's fine as well. I hope you enjoyed, and I'll see you guys next time.